Few days after election of Dr. Bawumia as presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, the conversation of a running mate or the discussion for a running mate is up. A lot of people are pushing for their preferred candidate to be selected as a running mate to Dr. Bawumia. Would the flag bearer be given enough time to do a proper selection, or mounting pressure will make Dr. Bawumia do a selection before the new crop of executives are elected in July this year? This is the situation, and this is Sami Wiafe. As always, we bring you the situation that comes to you every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. You're welcome back. You're still watching the Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. Situation Room, we talk politics. And today's conversation is the aftermath of the NPP's presidential primary. As you're aware by now, Dr. Bawumia is the NPP's presidential candidate for the 2028 general election. He gets the opportunity to represent the party again in the election, which is just some 2 or 3 years away. On the back of his election on Saturday, the 31st of January, the conversation has started about the possibility of him selecting a running mate for the election. I'm one of those who believe that Dr. Bawumia should select a running mate immediately to help him rebuild the party and look forward to the NPP recapturing political power in the 2028 general election. But my colleague Fred Jabano thinks otherwise. We'll have a small conversation on that one. And already here, there are some names which have popped up for possible candidates or possible individuals who should be selected by Dr. Bawumia as his running mate. The name of Dr. Matthew Prempe is up, his former running mate in the 2024 general election. The former majority leader, Oseche Mensah, has also had his name being pushed around as a possible running mate to Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Yao Ose Educhum, former Minister of Education and one of the NPP presidential aspirant, has also had his name showing up. And Brian Echampong, Member of Parliament for the Bitifi constituency, and one individual who gave a strong showing in the party's presidential primaries. One other name which has also come up as the Member of Parliament for the Kwapem North constituency, Samuel Ewuku, or Sami Oku as people call him. People believe that Sami Oku should be given the opportunity to partner Dr. Bawumia as his running mate. All these names have come up. We'll have a conversation on the names that have come up as far as the selection of a running mate is concerned. And also, we'll look at the timeline from 1992 to 2024, the timelines in which the various presidential candidates of the NPP selected their running mates ahead of a major election. The names that came up, and then the official, individuals who were selected by then presidential candidate from the year 1992 on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party to the latest being 2024. And also, if there's time, we'll discuss the next phase of the NPP, which is the election of our national officers, starting from the polling station to the national level, which we are told will begin somewhere in June, July, and officially maybe the bigger one, which is the national election, will also be done this same year. And the names that are showing up: Ashanti Regional Chairman Wuntumi says he wants to be national chairman. Boache Jacko also says he wants to be national chairman. John Boydu wants to be national chairman. Anabi, national organizer, now wants to move a step further to become the first vice of the New Patriotic Party. The national youth organizer, Salam, wants to become the new national organizer of the NPP. We'll have a comprehensive conversation on this matter. My name is Sami Wiafe, and as always, I'm here with my friend, brother, Fred Tete Jabano. Fredo, what's up?
I'm well, Sami. How are you?
I'm well. God is still keeping me.
As always.
You know, right? Finally, the NPP has a presidential candidate.
Oh, yes.
We never knew it would come right now.
I mean, nobody thought of the fact that just after a year, we had a general election. We'll come up with a party having a flag bearer, and it has happened. For me, it's not about the party selecting the flag bearer, but who they selected. You understand? It has been a back and forth as to whether the party would want to retain Dr. Bawumia as flag bearer, whether they wanted to change. And if they wanted to change, is it going to be Kennedy Japan, or is it going to be Dr. Brian Echampong? All these things were conversations which had taken place for the last 6 months. And on Saturday, the party delegates spoke loudly. They didn't just speak, but they spoke loudly. Over 100,000 delegates of the party decided to vote for Dr.
Half of the
out of 211,000 and over.
You could say half.
You had more than 100,000 people coming out on Saturday to say clearly that Dr. Bawumia is the vice president, is the party's flag bearer for the 2028 elections. And I mean, this would silence everyone. When you have over half of the delegates going for one person, what it tells you is that everybody is rallying around that particular person. But for me, I always say that when I look at this election, apart from Dr. Bawumia, there was one winner. And that winner was Dr. Brian Champon. First time on the ballot, getting the amount of vote he had, close to about 23% of the vote, about 20 to 30% of the vote. He managed to capture that group of people. Dr. Brian Champon had been crisscrossing the country. You recall that when polls came out and they put him at 12% and 1% and 2%, he said no. He had engaged the people and he believed that the people were buying his message. For me, as young as he is, he's still a member of parliament. He has this group of people within the party who believe that he is capable of leading the party. And look at the percentage he had. It tells you that he's one to watch for the future. For the future could be after 2028, it could be 2032, it could be 2036, but he's one to watch for the future. What did he do? He was able to capture some of the votes of the the other person we thought was going to give a lot of contest to Dr. Bawumia, Kennedy Japan. Dr. Brian Champon was able to get some of the votes from his constituencies. You look at and you do an analysis of the votes and you realize that places where 4 years ago or 2 years ago, Kennedy did well, Brian Champon was able to draw some votes over there. And like you say, after all these, it puts him in a position where he can be considered as running mate. Why will he be considered as a running mate? What will be his bargaining chip? It is simple. I've been able to command about 20% or 23, 25% of the votes. I'm a young man. I think that my message resonates well with a section of the party. Why don't you try me? I'm a businessman. I have money. I can finance a campaign. So for me, I think that outside the larger picture of Dr. Bawumia being the flag bearer of the party, the next biggest winner is Dr. Brian Champon. And this takes us to our conversation as to should the party now think about selecting a running mate now. I am of the view, before you come in, I am of the view that it is too early.
Okay.
Why is it too early? When you look at political strategy and political decisions, it differs in so many ways, and depending even on the environment, certain decisions you take now will change in future. The party has just finished the phase of electing a leader who would lead them to the 2028 elections. You are in a second year of a government. The first year of that government seems to have been very good, generally, as people would say. You go into the second year into the government, it's just been about a month into the second year. You haven't had a lot of scandals. You don't even know what is going to happen in the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You don't even know what is going to happen in the next 2 years before an election. That party you are going to contest hasn't elected a flag bearer. You are not sure of who that flag bearer would be, where he's going to come from, what is going to be his strength, what is going to be his weaknesses. You are not even sure of the conversation or the issue which will be up for debate on the election during the election period. We've had times when education had been the mainstay and the main debate for an election. There's been times when the economy has been what people were talking about before an election. You are in 2021. You are in 2026. In 2025, people say generally the NDC has done well with the economy. Would the economy become a conversation for an election in 2028? You are not sure. All these things go into who you will choose to be a running mate. Because if the economy, for example, is one which will come up for conversation during the election, you may tell yourself, okay, I have a flag bearer who is an economist, who's run the economy before. He's been vice president. He understands the way the country's economy runs. So maybe you don't need another economist or somebody who is well vested within the economic space to be running mate. It may be something else. You need to bring someone who would strengthen the flag bearer's weaknesses in other areas. You are not even sure of what is going to happen. Secondly, the party has been complaining, or some section of the party has been complaining about this top-down approach. People feel that they've not had their say, or they've not been heard clearly when it comes to the election of executives and a candidate, because don't let us forget that the same delegate system we had 2 years ago or a year and a half ago is the same delegate system which elected Dr. Bawumia. People will now want to feel or to be part of decision making in the party. You haven't done national executive elections as we speak now. National executive elections will be held. Polling stations will be held. These people would want to have a say as to who runs the party and who partners your flag bearer in running the party. How do they have the say? By electing executives whom they believe can help the flag bearer win power in 2028. If the flag bearer decides to announce a running mate now, you are cutting off a group of people who will not be part of any decision making in terms of election and who leads them at the top. Do you get it? You've cut off those group of people. There's been lack of consultation. You are elected flag bearer on Saturday. In the next 1 month, you announce your running mate. Where is the consultation? You have party elders. You have executives. Even the executives, are they going to be the same executives who will help you steer the affairs of the party in the next 2 years? You don't know. So why the rush to select or announce a flag bearer? So for me, I disagree with your view that a flag bearer should be elected immediately or should be selected immediately. I don't think it should be immediate. I think that Dr. Bawumia should take his time. He should allow the party to reorganize from the base to the top. Then they decide to engage in consultations. Then also look at the strategy for going into 2028 and who best fits that strategy to partner Dr. Bawumia. I don't think that the party is in a rush. I don't think there's a cane chasing anybody to elect or select or announce a flag bearer. So it's too early. They should hold on.
Okay. I've heard the argument. Now let me make my argument why I feel the selection of a running mate now is the best for the NPP and Dr. Bawumia. In 2024, when Dr. Bawumia was elected in 2023 as the presidential candidate, it took close to a year for him to select Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as his running mate. Within that period of 1 year, we saw the lobbying. We saw what was going on, the behind-the-scenes conversations, and the pressure that was mounted on Dr. Bawumia to select a running mate. And finally, it fell on Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. A lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say that it wasn't really his choice, but then again, he was compelled to go with him due to pressure from somewhere that I do not know. These are conversations I have heard. Whether they are true or not, these are what I heard, or allegations that I have heard. The NPP at this moment do not want to put Dr. Bawumia through such torture, for want of a better word, in the selection of a running mate. And so allow him space and time now to select a running mate within the shortest period of time, perhaps in the next 2 months or 3 months, and then you select a running mate. It takes away all the pressure that he's bound to go through in the selection of a running mate. Secondly, he's built to start a reconciliation tour across the country. Even before that, before any presidential candidate goes into an election, you know who your running mate is supposed to be, especially if it's a presidential primary. You know the conversation you've had already with people. You know what your backroom staff has told you. You know who you want to settle on as your running mate. And so you do not wait for more time to select the individual that you already have in mind. Unless you want people to convince you that the individual you have selected is not the right person for you, and maybe you want to change your mind. But if you are one convinced about the person, you feel the person compliments you, you feel the person can help you prosecute the agenda, you do not waste time in selecting whoever you want to be your running mate. My third point, Dr. Bawumia is built to start a reconciliation tour across the country in order to settle misgivings and anger among party members who feel a bit angry with the party. If you listen to his acceptance speech at the party headquarters, he made mention that a lot of party people did not vote in the last election because they had issues with the party or they were angry with the party. I believe that on this tour, if he selects this running mate and goes with him on this particular tour, it will help one mend the fences and heal the wounds that the NPP has created, because they are going as a united front. It's part of the unity process that he wants to embark upon. Thirdly, you are going into a major election in 2028, and you need all your arsenals on. You need everybody to come on board. Your running mate is always the most important person when it comes to prosecution of a campaign. We all know what Dr. Bawumia himself did for Nana Akufo-Addo from 2012 to 2016 to 2020. In 2016, he was the main campaign person for Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP. And the arsenals and the bullets and the thing he thrown at then candidate John Dramani Mahama resulted in the election of Nana Akufo-Addo as president in the 2016 election. So having a presidential candidate now, which will help you prosecute your agenda, he taking part of the campaign and you, the presidential candidate, taking part of the campaign, is the best. Fred talks about the need to have a national executive set up before you prosecute the campaign or even having a running mate. I disagree. The election is being prosecuted by the flag bearer and the running mate. The National Executive Committee are just supporting, are just complimentary, because they are just supporting you, the president candidates, and your flag bearer, your running mates are those providing the resources. The party leadership do not have any major role to play as far as campaigning is concerned. They are to back you and they are to align with whatever the flag bearer chooses to do as far as the prosecution of the campaign is going. So, first saying that we need to elect the national officer from the base to the top, I do not really see the difference that will make. The National Executive Committee will just form or just be aligned to the agenda of the presidential candidate in the selection. And I'll give you a clear example. In 1992, when Professor Edu Boahen was selected the presidential candidate of the NPP in August 1992, in September or so, he had selected his running mate for the next election. In the case of Nana Akufo-Addo, after 2012, the primaries in 2010, I think the same year or so, he selected Dr. Bawumia for it. In 2016, in the primaries of 2014, a few months after that election, he selected again Dr. Bawumia for his running mate within a short period of time, because they knew the agenda, they knew what they had in mind, and they knew what they wanted to prosecute. And so for me, I feel selecting a running mate now for Dr. Bawumia, or Dr. Bawumia selecting a running mate now, will one, help him prosecute his agenda. Secondly, will help with the campaign, with one taking the other bit of it, the other one taking the other bit of it, and pushing to ensure that the party recaptures political power. If they start early, the NDC is now going to go through its process of selecting a presidential candidate. If Dr. Bawumia and his running mates are able to start early, on time, and prosecute the party's agenda, by the time the NDC selects its presidential candidates and running mates, Dr. Bawumia and his running mates have been far, far ahead of the election before the 2028 election. These are my arguments, and I feel that selecting a running mate now, or Dr. Bawumia selecting a running mate now, will be the best for the New Patriotic Party and for him in his bid to be the president of the Republic. This is the Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. Try to take us through the running mate issue again, the selection of running mate for the New Patriotic Party from 1992, the time space, the timelines, and how they helped or did not help the presidential candidates win the election or fail to win the election. Fred, my argument, I'm done. I'm aligned.
Before I go there, I just want to ask you a question. who actually executes the campaign.
Is the presidential candidate.
The presidential candidate is at the
top. Is the
arrowhead. Is the arrowhead.
But controls the campaign.
He controls the campaign, but he's not the one who goes to every community to go and preach the word to the people. It is the police station executives, constituencies
go and prosecute the agenda for him on his behalf.
Yes, so
they go and tell his story.
Yes.
If that should be the case, then there was no need for the presidential candidate to go to the various constituencies and campaign during election. No. Because you may want to fall on the police station executive and the constituency executive then.
But Sami, that's what eventually happens. Yes, the presidential candidate is the arrowhead, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, who sends the message down there? It is the polling station executives. And you think that these new polling station executives you want to elect come the middle of the year should not also be given an opportunity to have a say in how the party decisions are taken at the highest level of the party? It is only fair that people who are elected come the middle of the year also have a say, because don't forget, they did not have a say. Some of them might have a say. There are others who would leave. But the new people will not, a lot will not have a say in who becomes the flag bearer or who became the flag bearer. So you give them an opportunity to also let their voices be heard through their executive structure. For me, I believe that these people should be given some kind of respect, should be given some kind of acknowledgement. And also, there should be a strategy. It's just 1 year and a month. How is the economy going to go? What is going to be the weakest point of this government? We cannot tell as we stand here. So for me, I believe that you should give some time, and after giving some time, you are able to engage in a lot of consultation.
A year?
Then a decision is
taken.
A year or
two?
But let's look at a year or two. Sami, let's look at whether a year or two, right? You still have some time to engage in consultation.
You still have the same period of time for people to be lobbying.
Oh yes,
lobbying and be distracting the flag bearer and shifting his focus.
But
settle this once and for all, select the running mate early.
Flag bearer should
select the running mate early.
The flag bearer should
early, so that you put all the pressure behind you.
The flag bearer should be able to have an opportunity.
The last election, you know the pressure that he went through.
Yes, but he should have the opportunity to look at different groups of people and make a choice. He shouldn't be rushed in making a decision. But then, let's look at what happened since 92. You started that conversation. In 1992, the NPP went for an election in August 25th, 1992. They came up with the flag bearer, Professor Albert Eduboyen. After he was elected, Professor Eduboyen selected a running mate. The running mate was Alhaji Roland Isifu Ahasan. It took him a month to select that running mate. You shake your head, which is quite interesting. It took him a month.
I'm not shaking. This is buttressing the argument I'm making.
That is true. But you see, ask yourself, when was the elections held? It was in December. It was in December 92. An election was held for a flag bearer in September. You didn't have time. So he was forced to select a running mate within 1 month. So that is 92. Professor Eduboyen was elected 25th August 1992, and in September he selected Roland Ahasan Isifu as his running mate. Let's look at what happened in 96. In 96, you had John Ejekum Kufuor, who was selected or elected flag bearer. He was elected flag bearer on the 20th of April 1996. He then had to choose a running mate. It took him 2 months. 2 months to elect a running mate. After April, to elect a running mate, he's to select a running mate. He selected Kor Kensenaka, who was then vice president. But you see, this is strategic. This is strategic. Outside the alliance the NPP had with the then CPP, there was the Great Alliance. You needed to make a decision which would put the government in disarray. And what did they do? They selected Akka, who was then a sitting vice president. So it was strategic. You look at the strategy.
In 2 months.
You look at the strategy.
In 2 months.
In 2 months, but you look at the strategy.
The first one was a month.
And don't forget that this particular election was also held in 1996.
You are helping my argument.
No,
Continue.
I'm coming. This particular election, you also have to take time to know when the election was held. It was held in 1996 to select a flag bearer. In 1996, April 1996, ahead of a December 1996 election. And it took a month or two to select a running mate in Accra. But this selection of a running mate was very strategic. It was very, very strategic. Despite whatever happened in the election, it was very strategic. You had a vice president who was then a running mate to an opposition leader, and you know what it could cause for a party who is going into an election. So yes, the selection took about 2 months, and Accra was selected. Don't be too happy. We'll go. Don't forget, they lost that election in 96. In 2000, this is going to the 2000 elections. So the NPP held their flag bearer elections in 1998. In 1998, John Ejekun Kufuor became victorious in that particular election. That election was held in October 23, 1998, 23rd October 1998, when John Ejekun Kufuor beat former President Nana Akufo-Addo. How long did it take him to select a running mate? It took him 23 months. From 1998, he selected a running mate in 2000, September 2000. It gave him an opportunity to work with party, to consult, and do all he could do, and bring in a businessman like Aliu Mahama, who partnered him in the 2000 elections. What was the outcome of that particular election? John Ejekun Kufuor won that election. Or he didn't? Sami?
He won.
Thank you very much.
He won.
So it took 23 months to think, to consult, and select a running mate. Let's see what history tells us again. In 2004, at the time John Ejekun Kufuor was president, Aliu Mahama was vice president. So they went together. There was no election or anything. The party just went and said, look, go again for the 2004 elections. And they won that particular elections. Then in 2008, when John Ejekun Kufuor exited, the party needed to select a new leader. The party selected Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He was elected on December 22nd, 2007. December 22nd, 2007. About 1 year clear of the elections. He decided to select a running mate. When did he select that running mate? 7 months later. 7 months later, August 14th, 2008. Even at the time, Sami, you had followed the NPP and you knew what happened. Where the party wanted a group of a certain individual, Nana Addo himself wanted another individual. There were other people who had come in. But then what? He needed to engage in a lot more consultation and decided to go with Dr. Bawumia. After 7 months, he didn't rush into taking a decision. After 7 months, this is in 2008, and this is the same NPP we are talking about.
And what happened in that election?
He lost that election.
Good.
But don't worry, we'll get there.
Oh, don't worry.
We'll get there. He lost that election. Then in 2012, Nana Addo stages a comeback and wins the flag bearership position again. August 7th, 2010, ahead of the 2012 elections. This was about 2 years before the general elections. It took him 19 months to select a running mate because he had just gone with Dr. Bawumia, and there were a lot of issues people had raised about Dr. Bawumia. But you see, what did the man do? He took his time. He listened and made a decision that I am still going with my running mate in 2008. He went into that election, lost that particular election.
After 19 months of consultation.
After 19 months of consultations. Okay. He lost that election. But don't forget, before you try...
I'm just helping with the timelines.
Yes, after 19 months. But you see, this was a repetition of the 2000 running mate. And don't forget that in this particular election, ahead of the election, the NDC's flag bearer had just died, passed away, about 2 or 3 months or 4 months before the election.
He died in July, 24th July.
So about 6 months, yeah. About 6 months, 5 months before the election. When he died, the vice president then, who was John Dramani Mahama, became flag bearer. So the dynamics of that election had changed. The dynamics of the 2012 election has changed. Now, it had nothing to do with the NPP's candidate and his flag bearer. The flag bearer had nothing to do with that. So you can't blame the loss of Dr. Bawumia and Nana Akufo-Addo in 2012 because of the fact that he took 19 months. Because the dynamics had changed. Okay. 6 months to an election, the dynamics changes. But there was 19 months before that selection. They lost that election. Then, ahead of the 2016 elections, October 18th, 2014, Nana Akufo-Addo was elected flag bearer of the NPP. 5 days later, 5 days later, he had selected Dr. Bawumia.
5 days? Just a week?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Bawumia as running mate. But you see, Sami, this is where you get it wrong. It would have been a mistake for Nanado to change Dr. Bawumia, especially when the entire party machinery was supporting him based on the work he did in the 2012 or 2013 election petition. He was an obvious, clear candidate for running mate. After what he did for the party in 2012, he was a clear, obvious choice to be running mate. It would have been a big mistake to change him. So what did the flag bearer do? He looked at the situation and said, look, strategically, this is the man a lot of Ghanaians, a lot of party members have fallen in love with. Why should we waste our time? That was strategy. So the selection in 5 days was not because there was a pressure, but it was basically political strategy. It was basically political strategy. So in 2014, it took Nanado 5 days to elect or to select a flag bearer. Let's take the break. After taking the break, we'll come back and see what Nanado did and what Dr. Bawumia also did ahead of their elections in 2020 and in 2024. You're welcome back to the Citiuation Room, where my colleague Samir Yafe and I have been discussing the NPP running mate situation. Samir is of the view that the flag bearer of the party should immediately announce a running mate. And I am of the view that some time should be given. We've been taking you through historical trends within NPP and how various flag bearers have selected their running mates, the time period in which they have selected these running mates. We've seen times where people took 5 days. We've seen times where people took over 20 months to select a running mate. Let's go back and finish this particular process. So we come to 2022. We ended with 2016.
2016.
When
the NPP won in that election.
That election. And
so
Nanado won the
2014
2014 primaries and selected Dr. Bawumia in 5 days to be his running mate. We come to the 2020 elections. In the 2020 elections, the party did not go for primaries. The party decided that they were going to allow the sitting president and the sitting vice president at the time to continue the governance of the country and the leadership of the party. So there was no time frame for a selection of a leader and a selection of a running mate. So we had Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia going for that election without any challenge within the party. Then comes the 2024 elections. The NPP in 2024 went for the primaries in 2023. So Dr. Bawumia was elected on the 4th of November 2023, ahead of the December 7, 2024 elections. After he was elected, the selection of a running mate was up for discussion. It took him roughly 8 months to elect Matthew Opoku Prempeh, popularly known as Napo, to be running mate. 8 months. 8 months of consultation. 8 months of discussions. 8 months as to what the strategy should be. 8 months as to who will best serve Dr. Bawumia well. There were so many names which came up at the time, but eventually Dr. Bawumia and the party went for Matthew Opoku Prempeh on July 4th, 2024. They went for that particular elections and they lost. So, Sami, when you look at history will tell you that there have been times where the party or candidates had taken like 20 months and won an election. There's been times when the party had taken 5 days to select a running mate and won an election. But then we'll always tell you that there were political strategies, strategy in place. There was a political strategy in place. There were consultations which had taken place, and the environment at the time would also push the flag bearer to make a decision. So this is what history has told us. So yes, there were times where your argument would be right, like 2012, 2014, when Dr. Nana Addo picked Dr. Bawumia after he had done a splendid job in carrying the party at the Supreme Court to fight an election petition. Even though they lost, Dr. Bawumia has benefited from that time till we speak now, based on that work he did in 2013. So, Sami, yes, it may be short, but there was no way you could look over Dr. Bawumia. In December, somewhere in 1998, into the 2000 elections, 20 months, John Ejekun took 20 months to select Alhaji Aliyu Mahama. They eventually won that particular election. So it could be this way, it could be that way. But then eventually, what the party is leader and the leadership of the party would decide is what everybody would go with. As we talk about the time frame for selecting a running mate, there are names which have come up as possible running mates. Possible running mates, possible individuals whose names have been put out to partner Dr. Bawumia. So people have started lobbying, like you said. Who do we have? One of the people or one person whose name has come up strongly in this running mate business is Dr. Brian Echampon. Why has Dr. Brian Echampon's name come in so strongly? Like we started at the beginning of the show, I said to you that his performance in this particular flag bearer race put him in a position where he could go bargain and say, I have the support of a large number of party members who believe that I can also be a leader. One, he's a young man. When you look at the trends and the analysis which have been made with our electoral roll, when you check the electoral roll, you get to understand that we have a lot of young people who have been, would say, make about 70% of our electoral roll as a country. So people say Dr. Brian Echampon is young. Two, to run a campaign for 2 years, like
resources.
2 years, like you are asking, you need somebody who has resources, who can support the campaign. And there are people who believe that looking at his track record as a businessman and looking at the businesses he has in this country, he is the right person who can back the flag bearer with the finances he needs to be able to execute a very good campaign for 2 years. So Dr. Barney Champon's name has come out as one of the people who Dr. Bawumia should consider as running mate. I don't know what you make of this.
Well, I've heard similar arguments as you've made, that he's resourceful if it comes to resource. Dr. Barney Champon is resourceful. He made a good showing in the last primaries, and so possibly having him on the ticket as Dr. Bawumia's running mate will be good for the NPP. And then it fits the north-south, ticket the NPP has always had. And so if Dr. Bawumia may want to consider him, it will not be a bad choice for him and the NPP. I've heard people make similar arguments, and the arguments make a bit of sense as far as choosing him as a running mate is concerned.
The next person whose name has also come up strongly is Adwoa Safo. One, people have said that the country, through the NDC, have set the pace to get a woman being a running mate or being the second in command. Having Professor Jenana Opoku as a running mate or the vice president currently for the country. People also believe that there are persons who we should continue this trend. We should continue this trend. And in continuing this trend, there's one woman who has come up strongly for this particular position, Adwoa Safo. In
the last election, she was very close to Dr. Bawumia in the campaign. Almost everywhere Dr. Bawumia will go, you see Adwoa Safo in there campaigning, helping you to prosecute the agenda. But the people who make the counter-argument have some reservations. They believe that her behavior towards the party some years ago, more or less like a betrayal, for want of a better word, against the party when they needed her the most in Parliament for the passage of some critical bills, may go against her. But then she has come out to explain, the circumstances. And if indeed the NPP as a political party may want to select a woman as a running mate in any way. So those two arguments may go against her as far as selecting her as running mate. I've heard people who make the counter argument that even within the Dome Kwabenya constituency where she was a member of Parliament, she doesn't really have the appeal there anymore compared to the national level for the appeal. And so those are the two arguments that may go against her, even within the new patriotic party.
What about the issue of loyalty, especially when she says that I was loyal to Dr. Bawumia 4 years ago or 2 years ago. There's another election where one of the contestants, it's someone I am very close with, I have children with, but I still believe that the person to lead the party is Dr. Bawumia. So for me, I am loyal to him. Don't you think that loyalty counts, especially for a vice president or a running mate?
That may not help her, because the NPP as a political party, I know, they don't forgive political sins, which you know very well. And so at a critical time when the party needed her, in the last administration of Nana Akufo-Addo on the passage of critical bills, she turned her back against the party. And that will always go against her. The NPP doesn't forgive political sins, and it will go against her. If her name should come up as a possible running mate, there are people within the party, key members within the party, who will shoot it down. And I can bet you on that.
There's one other name, another one whose name has come up very strongly. The former running mate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. People are saying, Nanado from 2008 kept faith with Dr. Bawumia through thick and thin. Why don't you do the same for Napo, especially because he's been marketed? That particular ticket has been marketed. That particular ticket, people know already. So why don't you go with Matthew Opoku Prempeh? Don't forget where he's coming from. He's coming from the party's largest region in terms of votes, the Ashanti region. He's coming from the royal house, which is very influential. What do you make of Matthew Opoku Prempeh?
It's a yes and no argument for a lot of people. The yes because they want to use the Nana Akufo-Addo precedent as a clear example. Kept faith with Dr. Bawumia since 2008 to 2020. And so if Dr. Bawumia and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh face the bill why don't you keep faith with him? The counter argument a lot of people will make is the few mistakes he did in the last election, which they believe might have contributed to the cause of the NPP's defeat. A few blunders, a few mistakes, a few statements that he made on the political platform which became topical during his unveiling at the Kumasi, park. A few things that he said, which political opponents used against him. Does Dr. Bawumia want to go through a similar situation? Do they want to repeat such a person who caused what people call few blunders that affected the campaign in any way on the same ticket? But then again, people will say Dr. Bawumia himself, Daniel Akufo-Addo came first with him
in 2008.
In 2008. He couldn't even do the kangaroo dance, which people used against him. And so the argument is that if even you as flag bearer, your days as running mates, Daniel Akufo-Addo had faith in you, was loyal to you all these years, why can't you also be loyal to him? They also cited Professor Michael Okoye report, which they say that there was nowhere in the report that says that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh contributed to the defeat. And so if the Matthew Opoku and the Professor Okoye report gives him a clean sheet, he's good to go.
So Matthew Opoku Prempeh
is a yes or no?
It's in a position where people say, okay, let's go with him. He's in another position where people think that he did not really help the party when he was elected or selected as running mate. Let's go to the next person. Che Mensa Monsu, the former majority leader. He has been a senior advisor to the Bawumia campaign. He's been very close to this particular campaign. People talk about his experience as a politician. People talk about his experience in governance, especially his time in parliament. People talk about his interpersonal relationships. People talk about how he's able to rally people around to get what he wants done. So they look at him and say, this man should be a man who should be selected. They make an example of Obama and Biden. Obama, a fresh politician, Biden, an experienced politician, and how they were able to work together to win the 2000 elections for the Democrats. So he should be looked at. He should be one person who is looked at critically and, if possible, selected, because he's also coming from the region, the same region, which gives you a lot of votes.
He ticks all the boxes. Fantastic politician, no doubt, in and outside parliament. He was the chairman of the Bawumia campaign. The chairman of the Bawumia campaign. But Dr. Che Mensa Bonsu, I know, may not want to be a running mate. At most, I've heard people say that he wants to be the chief of staff in the event that Dr. Bawumia becomes the president.
What about the speaker?
The conversation I had that he said he wants to be the chief of staff. These are conversations I have heard from the Bawumia camp because he wants to stay behind, control affairs. The chief of staff is a big position in this country. You are more or less like the landlord who takes charge, who takes control. Push this here, push this here, push there. More like an elder staying behind who is advising. And so with his advancement in age, I'm not sure he wants to go ahead with this rigorous campaigning in Ghana, the up and downs that you are involved in. I'm sure he personally do not wish to be a running mate. At most, be a chief of staff, which I'm told that is something that he's looking up to. And then Fred, this gentleman has come up on a number of conversations when you talk to people. This is Samia Oku, is a fantastic politician. Young, energized, he cuts across, a first-time member of parliament from his youthful days, from AFAC days, deputy director of communications, national youth organizer, national organizer in the corporate world, has been the Director General of NLA, and now a member of parliament. A lot of people believe that the youth of the party still identify with him, and not just the party. He cuts across the political divide, and so having him as your right-hand man will help advance your cause. But the counter-argument is that he's too young. He's a first-time member of parliament. If you want to select him as a running mate, you truncate his political ambition. Does it mean that in the event that Dr. Bawumia is not able to make it as president, what happens to his political future? He is not able to go back to parliament. I don't know what the constitution says, whether if you are selected as running mate, you are not, what happens to him? And Samia Oku has a long political future ahead of him. A lot of people said he has presidential ambition. And so if you want to select him as running mate, and in the event that he is not, Dr. Bawumia is not, or does not become president, what happens to his political future? You truncate, the life of a young man who has strong ambition. So the argument for him a lot of people say it will be a good choice, but then the counter argument is he's a young politician. Why do you want to put his political future in jeopardy?
A great organizer, yes.
A great organizer.
I mean, he's one person who can rally a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Especially the young people, to support the Bawumia
The charisma
campaign.
is there. The likable individual is there.
The Bawumia agenda, like you said, the charisma and everything. But I mean, we are in an age where we are saying that, look,
give the young people the chance.
When are you waiting to give a young man the chance to lead a country? It doesn't come as a surprise that the Constitutional Review Committee decided that one of their things, they want the things reviewed in the Constitution is the age. To reduce that age from 40. So it's time for young people. So I disagree with the fact that his political career will be truncated. No, I don't think his political career will be truncated if he's selected running mate. It actually puts him up there for him to contest the next election, unless his flag bearer wants to contest again and he wants to support that flag bearer. For me, I think that age should not stop him from being selected as flag bearer. The next person is Dr. Educhum, former education minister, former flag bearer aspirant from Ashanti region.
In 2024, his name came up.
In 2024, his name came up strongly. Strongly from the Ashanti region. People say, look, with this campaign he's run as flag bearer, he's been to every part of the country now. Now people can connect with him, can connect with his education agenda. Why don't you give him the chance to be running mate? He's from the Ashanti region. He has a lot of support within the Ashanti region. Why don't you give him a chance to be running mate? He's likable, like all the others. He's very likable. What would go against this man becoming running mate and becoming vice president, if possible?
I don't really know, but then again, the argument will be, will he be in a position to pull the crowd from the Ashanti region? Is he a tall figure within the Ashanti region? If we talk about Napo, one within the Ashanti region, Oseche Mensah, same. Can same be said about Dr. Yawase Duchum? I'm not so sure. I'm not sure.
Does he have the financial muscle?
That is also an issue. Does he have the resources to help the presidential candidate? In politics, you need money. And a lot of money you need.
In the coming days, I'm sure that we would hear a lot more and the decisions of the party and what the party will be doing in terms of the selection of a running mate. In the weeks and months to come, I'm sure the flag bearer will make comments and will make a statement and will see the direction of the party.
That has been another exciting edition of the Situation Room that came to you live from our studio here in Accra. I am Sami Wiafi, head Fred Tete Ijabon. Until we come your way again, may the good Lord be with us all.